So we got about a 45-minute drive on the back windy roads through southern Vermont to get back to our house. And it is pouring rain. And it's pitch black. It's the kind of eerie rainstorm where it is dark, dark. I mean, if you turned off your headlights, there would be no moon, there would be no stars. You would not be able to see the hand in front of your face dark. Plus, it is raining, and it's not just like the sprinkle raining. It's like, and your windshield wipers are, and it's almost like they're not even making a difference. And so here we are, we're driving really slow because obviously hydroplaning, and we are coming around a corner and up and down the hills, and we're up and down the road and up in the mountains. And luckily there is a car in front of us because, can we agree? Isn't it helpful when there's a car right in front of you in a dark rainstorm? You can track their taillights so you know what is right in front of you, even though you can't kind of see in front of you. And so we're all just kind of inching along. And by all, I mean the two of us, because we are in the middle of nowhere in southern Vermont. So we come around this corner and we are coming down this hill. And we can see the car in front of us. We see their taillights. The rain is coming down. And up ahead on the other side of the road, I see headlights coming. And you can kind of tell based on how far they are that as we are descending down this hill and they are coming from the other direction, we're going to kind of meet and pass one another as we get to the flat part at the bottom of the hill. So we're going along and the rain's coming down, windshield wipers are going, and the red taillights are our North Star. And I see this just flash of whiteness up ahead of the car that we're following. It's like this giant white out of nowhere from the top right side, just flying down toward the road. And that oncoming car is now right there upon us. And it hits this white thing and the thing goes tumbling. And I realize, oh my God, that was a bird. And I yell, Chris, stop. And he pulls over the car, and the car that we had been following just keeps going. That car is not the car that hit the bird. The car that was coming, the oncoming traffic, is what hit this bird. And there was a car behind us. And so Chris pulls off, and it was so just eerie. Like, I don't know if you're into things like The Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or Game of Thrones, but those scenes where it's super dark and the light is somehow there and the rain is falling, and I'm in heels and a dress because I've dressed up for Chris. I don't wear this stuff in Vermont, but for some reason I am wearing this tonight. That doesn't stop me because I just have this like first responder syndrome thing in me where if somebody's hurt or some animal's hurt, I'm like first on the scene. And so I've yelled at Chris, we've pulled over, the other car is gone. The car that has hit this thing has now pulled off and the rain is coming down. But here's the craziest part. Our headlights are beaming through the rain. So if you can imagine a scene in a movie where the raindrops, every single one of them, is backlit by these headlights. And a car pulls up behind us and I hold up my hand and stop. I don't even know what the person has hit at this point. I just know I'm out of the car and I'm into the rain in my high heels and I am stopping traffic and I am lit in this rainstorm by the headlights. And so I clomp through all the puddles and the pouring rain over to this mass of feathers. And it is a huge adult barred owl. And its wings are spread open. And this thing must have had a wingspan like 3.5 feet, maybe even 4. Like, it was huge. And it was just splayed out there, the poor thing. And the rain is coming down, and you can tell that one wing is open the correct way, and the other wing is flipped backwards. And you just know, oh, that is not supposed to look like that. And the bird is perfectly still. And I just crouch down over it. I literally step on either side of this thing, and I crouch down over it, and the rain is coming down, and the headlights are lighting me up from behind. And at that exact moment, this owl, who had been face down, turns its head slowly around, and it is now staring at me eye to eye. It was as if Gandalf the wizard was like, zit. It was the craziest experience of my life. I had this one-on-one eye lock moment with a wild owl in a rainstorm on the evening of my 27th wedding anniversary. And I just stood there and had this eye-to-eye intimate moment. I could tell this poor thing was in such a state of shock, but there was just this shroud of mystery and majesty to the moment. And I was in a trance. Like if you would have told me in that moment, Mel, this owl is here to tell you that you have wings. Girl, just sprout them out, start flapping. I would have been convinced that that messenger in that owl was to tell me that I had angel wings and it was time to flap. Like, it was that incredible of an experience. And, I have to say, as I've reflected on this, if this had happened during the daytime, I'm not sure it would have had the mystery and the magical nature, but there was something about the rainstorm and the fact that darkness was everywhere and the headlights created this just dramatic otherworld experience. And if you had told me that I spent 2 hours crouched in my high heels, dripping wet, staring into the eyes of that owl, I would believe you, because it was that kind of experience where time just froze. Have you ever had an experience like that, where everything around you just disappears and you are in that moment frozen? It was incredible. I will remember that moment for the rest of my life. Those few seconds felt like years. And the only thing that brought me out of it, because that owl and I, man, we were not going to break eye contact. You get a chance to really have that kind of intimacy with an owl or a wild animal, you do not look away. It's like the most primal staring contest you could ever be in. And I was trying to communicate through my eyes, you're going to be okay, buddy. You're going to be okay, buddy. We're going to take care of you. You're going to be okay. And what happened next is, all of a sudden, I felt the presence of other human beings behind me. And thankfully, the other driver and Chris had gotten out of their cars, and the other driver yelled, "Hey, I've got a huge beach towel in my car." It didn't even occur to me that I needed something to pick this owl up. I mean, like, I was in full-on Mother Earth mode, about to scoop this thing up in my arms and take it to the hospital. Didn't even occur to me. This thing has a beak that could shred your jugular, Mel. It's got talons that could rip open your arms. You do not want to pick this thing up. I was about to scoop it up, but this guy's like, "I got a towel." So he runs back to his truck, and he comes running back, and he has this bright blue, aqua-colored, Caribbean blue, big old beach towel. And without even thinking, I just dropped that beach towel on top of this bird and I scooped it up as carefully as I could. And this guy from the truck behind us helped me just as best we could tuck that poor broken wing up and underneath it. And dear God, I hope I didn't hurt that bird further because we just wanted to get it to safety. And next thing you know, I'm sitting in the front seat of our truck holding a wild barred owl in my arms wrapped in an aqua Caribbean blue beach towel. Unbelievable. And I kind of look at Chris and I'm like, can you believe this? Can you believe this is happening on our anniversary? This is like a message from God or the universe. Like, this is unbelievable. And I haven't even told you the fact that our family are crazy Harry Potter fans. And by crazy, I mean, I bet we have watched the entire Harry Potter series probably 9 times as a family, from movie number 1 all the way to the end. When our kids were little, Chris read the Harry Potter series to our kids every single night of their lives. Like this, I have always wanted a hedgehog. I have always wanted an owl. And now I have got this like 2-foot tall barred owl wrapped in my arms. And if you think about Harry Potter or any fantasy novel, owls are messengers. They go between the human world, called the Muggles in Harry Potter, and the wizard world. They carry messages. And so I was convinced as I sat there in the front seat of the car, this was a message. I mean, this is no accident. This is happening on our 27th wedding anniversary, which we have just celebrated. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this magical, incredible bird is hit in front of our eyes, and we're the ones who are rescuing it. It clearly has to have a message for us, right? And so I wrap it up, and, you know, Chris is so adorable. I've got my arms squeezing this thing, but not too tight. You know, I don't want to hurt the thing anymore. And then I'm also starting to think, did I wrap its talons in this towel, or are they sitting against my skirt right now, ready to go? Ah! And Chris like reaches over carefully and grabs the seatbelt and pulls it out extra wide to click it in so that the owl and I are safe. And off we go, which presents a problem. What the hell are we going to do with this bird? I mean, it's not like I am a certified animal rescue responder. It's not like I know anything about how to rehabilitate an animal. And so I say to Chris, dude, we got to figure out where we're going to take this bird. Like, you don't take a bird like this to the pound. What do you do? And so Chris goes, oh, I know. We should call Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob is the world's most amazing vet. He is our vet here in Southern Vermont. We love Dr. Bob. And so we call the after hours service because we think Dr. Bob, been a vet in Southern Vermont forever, he is going to know exactly what to do. And so we get the after hours service, and now we're driving. And of course, I'm holding this thing like a newborn. And so as Chris is driving, I'm like, be careful. Like, what, Spuddle? Be careful of the bumping. Chris is like, okay, I got it. I'm doing the best that I can here. And so we get the after hours service, and I got to give a huge shout out to Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob called us back 5 minutes later. It's like 9:30 at night. And he had this great, calm voice. Hey guys, what's up? I'm like, Dr. Bob, we have just found this barred owl that was hit by a car. And he's like, oh, wow. Like that's a really special thing. Thank you for rescuing it. And he immediately knew what to do. He told us to call this organization called VINS, which is the Vermont Institute of Natural Sciences. They specialize in this. They're about an hour and a half from us up in Woodstock. And so we call their after hours service. And there was no one available. So I'm then with one hand, as I'm holding the owl, I am Googling what to do. And I find all of these videos about how you are supposed to keep an animal safe, like an owl or a bird, when you find one injured in the wild. And so we mainline these videos as Chris is carefully driving, and I'm holding this barred owl in my lap as my own personal messenger from the universe and God and the magical kingdom. And I'm just can't help but go. I mean, this is not like a fly has hit your windshield. This is a big freaking spiritual deal. And so we get home, and what I have learned on the drive home by watching these videos online is that the best thing to do is to put the owl in something like a laundry basket because it has holes in it and it is a safe container. And we happen to have, a nice sized laundry basket, just like you probably do. Shout out to the big container stores that sell these things. And so we put a piece of plywood over the top, as the video from the certified rescue people showed us to do. And then we turned off the lights and we went inside. And I'll tell you what, I did not sleep a wink. If you've ever bought a new puppy home or a newborn home, you do not sleep that first night. You lie awake and you go, uh-oh, are they okay? Are they going to make it? Are they going to, how is this going to work? And I remember getting up that next morning and just having this heaviness in my heart. Is that owl going to be alive? Oh my God, dear God, I will give anything for this poor owl to be alive. Please, please, dear God, let this owl be alive. And so first thing in the morning, Chris and I go out there, and if you've ever had an experience like this, you don't run. You kind of walk slowly because you have this sense that maybe it's not going to have made it, that maybe it's not going to be okay. And so we open up the barn door and I walk over to the laundry basket and I don't see any movement at all. And I'm kind of scared that it didn't make it. And so I carefully lift up the plywood because I'm also nervous that maybe it did. And maybe it's going to use that one wing and flap out and attack us all. I don't know what's going to happen. This is a wild animal, for crying out loud. And so I lift up the lid and there he is. Just looks right up at me. Still, I'm sure, in a massive state of shock. And I take a giant exhale. Oh my gosh. It made it. And when the volunteers from VINS showed up, it was sad. I didn't want the owl to leave. It was really sad. I had grown so attached to this thing. I felt like there was a message in this and I didn't know what it meant. What was this owl trying to tell me? Because this stuff does not happen by accident. Dear owl, before they take you away to the rehabilitation center where you will live happily ever after with all your other owl friends that got rehabilitated, and I will come visit you forever. What is the message? That is what every single spirit person, guide person, of course, because I went on a crazy spiral on Google searching for what does an owl mean? What is the meaning of an owl? What is a spirit animal of an owl? And owls are messengers. Owls usher in change. And so I'm sitting there as they're packing this owl up and, oh, wow, that looks like a broken clavicle. That's a really bad injury. Oh boy, in there. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, can I check on the owl? How am I going to check? You just tell them that it was an owl rescued on this date. This is a barred owl. We think it's a male. You can call, you can check in on your owl. That made me feel a little bit better. But they packed that owl up. They put him in the back of a Subaru and off he went. And this takes me to the first thing that this experience with an owl taught me in my life. And that is look up. Look up. If an owl's entire spiritual message is wisdom, that it's here to be a symbol of change, one change that I have made in my life that has made a huge difference thanks to this owl is looking up. You cannot see an owl out in the wild if you're looking down. In order to spot one, you've got to keep your eyes up and you scan the canopy and you look for something that's like a foot or so tall that's sort of shadowy. That's how you find them. And isn't it true that in life you need to look up more? You spend so much of your time, and so do I, looking at your phone, looking at a computer. When you're walking, you're looking at the ground or you're looking at the phone. There is so much to see, so much magic, and you're missing it if you don't look up from your phone, if you don't look around when you're outside. And that's the first thing that I've learned from this experience with the owl. Because now whenever I'm out in the woods, and look, it's great that I'm just getting out in the woods and I'm hiking. But before this experience, you know what I was doing? I would be out there hiking. It'd be quiet for the first 10 minutes. And then I'm like, oh, I should make a video for everyone while I'm hiking. Or I'd be like texting somebody, or I'd be listening to an audiobook. No. My phone is in my fanny pack now. Which is a whole nother problem because the dog treats are in there too. And so you got to have them in the back pocket of the fanny pack, but I digress. But I now go on hikes and I'm scanning all the time, looking. And that brings me to the second thing that's so cool about owls and what this experience taught me. Open yourself up to magic. When I go out into the woods now, I expect to see an owl. I am opening myself up to magic. Now, I almost never see one. I have seen one owl in the wild since I had the experience a year ago on my 27th anniversary. That's how elusive they are. But I'll tell you what, every single time I am out in the woods, every single time I step outside at night here in southern Vermont and I hear the barred owls up on the mountain go, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you? I'm like, they're right here. They're right here. Okay, I'm going to open myself up to magic. Something magical is going to happen. And when you look for something in life, the world has an amazing way of showing it to you. I had a life-changing experience with a wild animal. I crouched down over it and the rain is coming down and the headlights are lighting me up from behind. And at that exact moment, turns its head